Have you ever wondered about living in a place where the air you breathe is so harmful? It takes over 1 million lives every single year. Take the United Arab Emirates, for example, a country with a thriving economy, but at a staggering cost of nearly 2,000 lives lost annually due to air pollution. These aren't just statistics, these are real people, and the situation is only becoming more dire. But which country tops the list as the most polluted? Stick around as we uncover the harsh truths about the 15 most polluted countries in the world. 1. India. India is facing a severe pollution crisis, making it one of the dirtiest countries in the world. The air pollution, especially in cities like Delhi, is alarming, with PM 2.5 levels in the year 2023 reaching 54.4 micrograms per cubic meter, nearly 11 times above the World Health Organization's safe limit. This extreme pollution contributes to over 7% of deaths in major urban areas. Key factors include vehicular emissions, industrial activities, and extensive use of firewood, with India consuming 148.5 million tons of biomass annually, 10 times more than the United States. Inefficient stoves and low-speed traffic further worsen air quality. India's planned 50% increase in coal power by the year 2030 could lead to 844,000 premature deaths. The inefficiency of vehicles operating at low speeds also contributes significantly to air pollution. In India, where average speeds on congested roads often fall below 12 miles per hour, vehicle emissions can be 4 to 8 times higher than in areas with smoother traffic flow. Beyond air pollution, water contamination is a critical issue. The Ganges and other rivers are heavily polluted with industrial waste and plastics, making India a top contributor to global ocean pollution. With nearly 277 million tons of solid waste generated each year, India's overwhelmed waste management system struggles to cope, leading to widespread environmental degradation. While India's pollution crisis grabs global headlines, just across its northern border, Nepal is quietly grappling with an equally alarming environmental disaster that could have devastating consequences for both its people and the breathtaking landscapes that define the nation. 2. Nepal. Nepal, a country renowned for the breathtaking beauty of the Himalayas, is facing an alarming environmental crisis that threatens its people and natural landscapes. The capital, Kathmandu, frequently ranks among the most polluted cities in the world. Kathmandu's air quality is in a dire state, with PM 2.5 levels, a measure of dangerous particulate matter often exceeding 10 times the safe limit recommended by the World Health Organization. This hazardous level of pollution is primarily driven by a combination of vehicular emissions, industrial activities, and the widespread burning of biomass. Every year, more than 42,000 Nepalis lose their lives to illnesses caused by air pollution, such as respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. The economic impact is equally devastating, with the country losing an amount equivalent to 4.5% of its gross domestic product, primarily due to healthcare costs related to pollution. Over the past few years, the city's population density has surged, leading to a sharp increase in the number of vehicles on the roads. This rise in traffic, combined with extensive construction and industrial activities, has turned Kathmandu into a city choked with dust and noise. The numerous infrastructure projects underway, characterized by excavated roads, brick kilns spewing dust, and heaps of construction materials, have significantly deteriorated air quality and marred the city's aesthetic appeal. Beyond the immediate health risks, this toxic air poses a serious threat to Nepal's natural beauty and biodiversity, jeopardizing the very essence of what makes the country unique. The urgency to address this environmental crisis cannot be overstated, as the consequences of inaction could be catastrophic for both the environment and the people of Nepal. How do you think the rising pollution in Kathmandu is impacting Nepal's tourism, especially given its reputation for stunning natural beauty? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3. Tajikistan. Over the past 10 years, the air quality in Tajikistan has plummeted. Harmful emissions have nearly doubled, largely due to increased vehicle exhaust and industrial activities. This alarming rise in pollution has cut the average life expectancy by over a year, specifically by 1.3 years, making Tajikistan the most affected country in Central Asia. In the year 2023, the country's PM2.5 level hit a shocking 49, which is almost 10 times the safe limit recommended by the World Health Organization. One of the major culprits here is traffic pollution. Vehicle emissions have skyrocketed over the last decade, jumping from 340,000 tons annually to a staggering 540,000 tons. This massive increase has not only polluted the air but has also contributed to a significant public health crisis. But the air isn't the only thing under threat. Industrial pollution has severely contaminated water sources, making them undrinkable and damaging vital aquatic ecosystems. Tajikistan generates nearly 2 million tons of waste every year, much of which is mismanaged, contributing to widespread environmental degradation. The situation is further complicated by the country's reliance on thermal power plants to meet its electricity needs. Take, for example, the Dushanbe 2 power plant, the largest in the country. This plant burns up to 6,000 tons of coal every single day, supplying 60% of the capital's electricity. However, this comes at a cost, as the plant emits a significant amount of harmful pollutants into the environment. Adding to the pollution, Dushanbe is home to heavy industries, including cement factories that contribute to the city's deteriorating air quality. For instance, the Dushanbe cement plant alone produces 180,000 tons of cement annually and burns up to 72,000 tons of coal. Before we continue, I have a 10-second request for all of you. If you can help us out, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us. In return, we promise to keep making this show even better for you. Deal. 4. United Arab Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, the air quality crisis has reached alarming levels. The PM2.5 concentration has soared to an astonishing 43, which is well beyond the safe threshold set by international health standards. Tragically, this hazardous air quality is linked to nearly 1,900 deaths each year, a significant number given that the country's population is just over 10 million. A majority of these victims are migrant workers who spend most of their time outdoors, making them particularly vulnerable. The UAE's environmental challenges are further compounded by its heavy reliance on fossil fuels. In the year 2021, the nation's carbon dioxide emissions were a staggering 234 million tons, positioning the UAE as one of the world's top contributors to climate change. This is further exacerbated by the country's extensive use of desalination plants to meet its freshwater needs. While these plants are essential due to the UAE's arid climate, they contribute to both air and water pollution, with significant negative impacts on marine life and air quality. Vehicular emissions, industrial activities, and the energy-intensive infrastructure required to support the country's growing population are the primary drivers behind these elevated pollution levels. Despite the UAE's ambitious plans to invest $163 billion in renewable energy and its role as the host of the COP28 climate conference, the path to a cleaner environment remains steep. The scale of environmental degradation is a formidable challenge, requiring not just national efforts but also international collaboration to strike a balance between the UAE's economic ambitions and the pressing need for environmental stewardship. 5. Pakistan. Pakistan is facing a severe pollution crisis, particularly in cities like Lahore, Faisalabad, and Karachi. In the year 2023, Lahore's air pollution reached dangerous levels, with PM2.5 concentrations nearly 20 times higher than the World Health Organization's safe limit. The air quality index in these cities often exceeds 300, posing serious health risks. Outdated vehicles, industrial emissions, and agricultural burning are major contributors to this toxic air. The health impact is staggering, with nearly 128,000 deaths each year due to pollution-related illnesses like respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Water pollution adds to the crisis, with 60% of the population lacking access to safe drinking water, leading to widespread disease. The situation is so dire that Islamabad now ranks among the top 10 most polluted capitals in the world. This pollution not only deteriorates the quality of life, but also significantly shortens the lifespan of those living in Pakistan's major cities. As Pakistan battles its escalating pollution crisis with alarming health consequences, Indonesia, thousands of miles away, is contending with its own environmental catastrophe, where rapid deforestation and toxic air are pushing the nation toward a tipping point that could impact the entire planet. 6. Indonesia. Indonesia is the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases, largely due to its rapid deforestation. Every year, it loses nearly 2 million hectares of forest, driven by palm oil expansion and illegal logging. This not only harms local ecosystems but also contributes significantly to global climate change. Air pollution in Indonesia is a major concern, with PM 2.5 levels far above safe limits. According to the Global Health Project, air pollution causes around 232,000 deaths annually in the country. This includes thousands of deaths from water pollution, occupational hazards, and lead exposure, primarily from traffic and industrial emissions. Indonesia is also the second largest contributor to marine plastic pollution, dumping over 600,000 tons of plastic into the oceans each year. Unfortunately, the country's waste management is inadequate, with less than 5% of waste being recycled. In response, the Indonesian government is promoting public transportation and aims to have 530,000 electric vehicles on the road by the year 2030. While these efforts are promising, the environmental challenges Indonesia faces are immense and require urgent action. 7. Egypt. Egypt, known for its ancient wonders, now faces severe environmental challenges. The country's air quality has reached dangerous levels, with the PM 2.5 index averaging over 42, leading to serious health issues. Nearly 2 million Egyptians seek treatment for respiratory problems linked to air pollution each year, and life expectancy has dropped by up to 2 years due to the toxic air. In the year 2019 alone, around 9,559 people died prematurely from air pollution. Cairo, the capital, is particularly affected, with pollution levels exceeding WHO safety limits by 14 times, driven by traffic, old vehicles, industrial emissions, and agricultural burning. This results in approximately 18,000 premature deaths in the city each year, contributing to over 40,000 deaths nationwide. The economic cost is staggering, with the Greater Cairo area spending about $1.5 billion on pollution-related healthcare from the year 2016 to the year 2017. Nationally, costs exceeded $2.5 billion by the year 2018. Adding to the crisis, the Nile River, Egypt's vital water source, is heavily polluted with industrial waste and untreated sewage, threatening millions who rely on it. Despite efforts to manage hazardous waste, pollution remains a critical issue. Egypt is working to combat these challenges by controlling industrial emissions and promoting clean fuel vehicles, but the road ahead is daunting. 8. Iraq. As of the year 2024, Iraq ranks among the top in global pollution, largely due to extremely high levels of fine particulate matter, known as PM 2.5. To put it in perspective, the World Health Organization recommends a limit of 10 micrograms per cubic meter, but in the year 2022, Iraq's levels soared to 80 micrograms, 16 times the safe limit. Although there was some improvement in the year 2023, with levels dropping to 44 micrograms, this is still more than 8 times higher than recommended. The main culprit is the oil industry, which, while vital for the economy, releases massive amounts of harmful pollutants during extraction, including methane and benzene. This industry accounts for 95% of Iraq's foreign exchange earnings but comes at a severe environmental cost. But the pollution doesn't stop with the air. Iraq also faces critical water pollution issues, particularly in the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, due to untreated industrial waste, agricultural runoff, and poor wastewater management. This contamination endangers both public health and agriculture. In response, the Iraqi government launched a tree planting initiative in the year 2023, aiming to plant 5 million trees to improve air quality and combat desertification. However, while this is a step in the right direction, the deeper issue remains pollution from oil extraction, which continues to harm Iraq's environment and its people. 9. Democratic Republic of the Congo. Despite its wealth of natural resources, the DRC faces severe environmental crises. The air quality is alarmingly poor, with PM 2.5 levels reaching over 40 micrograms per cubic meter, which is more than 8 times the safe limit set by the World Health Organization. This is largely due to over 90% of households relying on firewood and charcoal for cooking, which releases toxic gases and fine particles into the air. Tragically, this indoor air pollution is responsible for around 61,000 premature deaths every year. Deforestation is another major issue, driven by the need for fuel wood and charcoal, which account for 90% of the country's energy. This demand leads to the loss of hundreds of thousands of hectares of rainforest annually, contributing to global carbon emissions and threatening countless species. Illegal mining activities further devastate the land and pollute water sources, while ongoing conflicts in the eastern regions exacerbate environmental destruction, displacing over 5.5 million people. Efforts to address these issues have been hindered by weak governance and corruption. While the DRC enacted an environmental protection law in the year 2021, the aftermath of prolonged conflict has left institutions too weak to enforce it effectively. According to the United Nations Environment Program, the DRC needs around $200 million to tackle these environmental challenges and work towards sustainable development. 10. China. Despite some efforts to improve the environment, China's air pollution worsened in the year 2023, with PM 2.5 levels averaging 32.5 micrograms per cubic meter, over 6 times the UN's safe limit. This puts China 19th on the global list of most polluted countries. As the world's largest carbon dioxide emitter, China is responsible for over 32% of global emissions, contributing heavily to climate change. Urban centers like Shijiazhuang face dangerously high pollution levels, leading to an estimated 1.24 million premature deaths each year. Water pollution is equally dire, with over 70% of the water in major rivers unsafe for human contact, causing health risks and economic losses of about $1.5 trillion annually. Soil contamination affects 20% of urban soils, raising food safety concerns. China is also the largest producer of plastic waste, with much of it contributing to global pollution and marine ecosystem damage. China's environmental challenges, especially with its rising coal power plant approvals, threaten its goals to peak emissions by the year 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by the year 2060. In recent years, China has even surpassed the United States in carbon dioxide emissions, highlighting the urgency of global action. While China's immense environmental challenges capture global attention, from its staggering air pollution to its role as the world's largest carbon emitter, Nigeria is quietly battling its own severe pollution crisis. Stay tuned. E11. Nigeria. Nigeria faces one of the most severe environmental pollution crises globally, a situation that poses immense risks to both public health and the nation's economy. The air pollution in Nigeria, particularly in its bustling cities, is among the highest in the world. Dangerous particulate matter, known as PM 2.5, is found in concentrations that exceed safe limits by more than 10 times. This is largely due to heavy reliance on vehicles, industrial activities, and the widespread use of generators caused by unreliable electricity supplies. Shockingly, this polluted air is responsible for approximately 128,000 premature deaths every year. But the crisis doesn't stop with the air. Water pollution is another grave issue, especially in the Niger Delta region. Chronic oil spills have not only devastated local ecosystems but have also contaminated water supplies, making over 70% of Nigeria's surface water unsafe for human consumption. This has led to widespread health issues and crippled vital economic sectors like fishing and agriculture. The contaminated soil, particularly in oil spill-affected areas, further exacerbates food insecurity, rendering large portions of land barren and unusable. Adding to these challenges is Nigeria's inadequate waste management system. Poor handling of solid waste, especially plastics, is contributing to both land and marine pollution. As Nigeria continues to urbanize rapidly, with its population growing at an alarming rate, these environmental issues are only getting worse. The lack of effective regulation and enforcement makes it even more difficult to tackle these problems. 12. Sudan. As of the year 2024, Sudan's air pollution levels have reached dangerous heights, with particulate matter levels soaring to approximately 45 micrograms per cubic meter, which is nearly 9 times higher than the World Health Organization's recommended safe limit. This toxic air is not just a number, it's a significant contributor to widespread respiratory illnesses among the Sudanese population. But the environmental issues don't stop there. Water contamination is rampant across the country. Untreated industrial discharges and outdated sewage systems have left millions of Sudanese without access to clean drinking water. This situation is particularly dire given that safe water is a basic human need. Sudan's land is also under severe pressure. Rapid deforestation, excessive grazing, and unsustainable farming practices are causing widespread soil erosion and a troubling loss of biodiversity. This is not only a blow to the country's environmental health, but also to its agricultural productivity, which many Sudanese rely on for their livelihoods. To make matters worse, waste management systems in urban areas are almost non-existent. Uncollected solid waste is piling up, contaminating both the land and water bodies, creating a vicious cycle of environmental degradation. These environmental crises are further exacerbated by Sudan's ongoing political and economic instability. Without urgent intervention, the health and future of the Sudanese people are at great risk. However, there is hope. By adopting sustainable practices and enforcing stronger environmental policies, Sudan can start to turn the tide, ensuring a cleaner, healthier environment for its future generations. 13. Kuwait. Kuwait, often seen as a hub of wealth and modernity, is paradoxically one of the most polluted countries on the planet, largely due to its heavy reliance on the oil industry. Kuwait City finds itself ranked among the top 10 most polluted cities in the world and holds the unfortunate title of the most polluted city in the Arab world. The driving force behind this alarming status is the country's oil sector, which through the extraction, refining, and burning of fossil fuels releases an overwhelming amount of harmful pollutants into the air. The air quality in Kuwait is severely compromised by substances such as particulate matter nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and ozone. To put this into perspective, the average concentration of PM 2.5 in Kuwait frequently exceeds 70 micrograms per cubic meter, a figure that starkly contrasts with the World Health Organization's recommended limit of 5 micrograms per cubic meter. This level of pollution is not just an environmental issue but a public health crisis, leading to increased rates of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, higher mortality, and particularly severe effects on vulnerable groups like children and the elderly. The continued burning of fossil fuels for energy and industrial practices, including drilling and fracking, releases massive quantities of pollutants. Additionally, Kuwait's geographical location, which experiences frequent sandstorms, further deteriorates air quality by introducing large amounts of dust particles into the atmosphere. While the Kuwaiti government has made some attempts to explore renewable energy sources and implement emission control measures, these actions fall short due to the country's overwhelming dependence on oil. As Kuwait's wealth-driven oil industry thrusts the nation into the spotlight as one of the most polluted places on Earth, Bangladesh, though worlds apart in development, faces a similarly dire air quality crisis. 14. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is grappling with an alarming air pollution crisis, where the air quality has reached dangerous levels. The annual average concentration of fine particulate matter is a staggering 79.9 micrograms per cubic meter. This is nearly 16 times higher than the safety threshold set by the World Health Organization. In the bustling capital city of Dhaka, the Air Quality Index, or AQI, frequently hits very unhealthy levels, with readings often surpassing 200, far exceeding what the WHO considers safe. This toxic air isn't just a statistic, it's a deadly reality that claims the lives of over 235,000 people in Bangladesh each year. Tragically, children under the age of 5 are particularly vulnerable, with more than 19,000 young lives lost annually due to pollution-related illnesses like pneumonia and respiratory infections. The major contributors to this environmental catastrophe are clear: emissions from old and poorly maintained vehicles, industrial pollution from brick kilns that still rely on outdated technology, and the widespread use of biomass fuels in rural households. To make matters worse, pollution drifting in from neighboring countries further degrades the air quality, making Bangladesh's air among the most hazardous in the world. A report from the World Bank highlights the devastating impact of this pollution, estimating that around 272,000 deaths each year could be prevented if air quality, water sanitation, and exposure to harmful substances like lead were improved. Additionally, air pollution alone has shortened the average life expectancy in Bangladesh by nearly 7 years, a reduction far greater than that caused by smoking or malnutrition. Despite a rapid increase in per capita income, the air quality continues to worsen, largely due to the rising consumption of fossil fuels like oil, coal, and natural gas to meet the demands of the country's growing economy. 15. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is currently facing one of the most severe pollution crises on the planet, especially in its bustling urban areas like Kabul. The air quality here has reached alarming levels, with particulate matter concentrations skyrocketing to nearly 59 micrograms per cubic meter. That's over 11 times higher than what the World Health Organization considers safe. A significant factor causing this crisis is the roughly 1 million vehicles on Kabul streets, many of which run on low-quality fuel. Add to that the widespread use of diesel generators, a necessity due to the country's unreliable electricity supply, and the air becomes a toxic cocktail. But it doesn't stop there. Industrial activities, particularly the numerous brick kilns surrounding Kabul, are notorious for burning dangerous materials like old tires and used motor oil, spewing toxic chemicals into the air. In rural areas, the problem is compounded by the burning of wood and coal for cooking and heating, contributing to deadly levels of household pollution. Nearly 5,000 people lose their lives every year due to illnesses linked to air pollution, with respiratory diseases surging by a shocking 1,000% in recent years. While efforts like promoting the use of natural gas and LPG in vehicles have been introduced, they're just a drop in the ocean. To truly tackle this deeply rooted environmental disaster, Afghanistan needs urgent and comprehensive action to protect the health of its people and to restore its environment. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. GlobeGo, your support means a lot to us. Click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now. I'm sure you'll love the content. Comment below on the next country you'd like to see featured on our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.